could test them and get anything done. So this is going to be a game of seeing if DFM, even with their hampered progress right now, can still play clean macro, play that clean early game, and get to the objective first.
Yeah, and we must bring it back. This is DFM. This is the team that is currently 14-2. One of those losses came when they had to switch Utapon over because Ebby is currently ill at the moment. Everyone, if you're on Twitter, go and send some love over to Ebby. He really does want to be playing right now. He's made that very clear. He's just not feeling well. I don't know if it was COVID or not related, but I mean, regardless, send love his way. Hopefully he can be back in for playoffs in time and is a full return to health. As it stands, though, are there any of these runes that are currently coming across? I mean, Steel playing the Poppy with the face rush feels correct because you just want to get around when you actually land your three auto combo. Well, no, not 3 auto combo. What is it? Is it WQ?
W auto and Q all proc it because you get the interrupt on the dash, and then that lets you quickly reposition to get the stun into a wall. Or, like you say there, if you do just go for the aggressive push somebody into a wall, it lets you run away after. So it just gives you a lot of options that Poppy in the jungle definitely does appreciate. We do actually see, I believe, Burning Core's bot lane was zoned out of XP for a minion, which means that DFM are heavily in the driver's seat for the start of this lane.
It'll be important for the side of DFM to make sure they keep that push going, because guess who's on this on the bot side for Burning Core, who won't be rotating around to this bot side, unlike Steel. It's Flawless at the moment. He is starting on his blue side for Graves. Bit surprising. Mostly in my experience, Graves should start on red side. You even sometimes start with chickens because of the clear you can have. So I'm a little surprised he started blue. But I mean, when you consider how these laning matchups are currently going, Utapon is definitely making Rayfarki's life a bit difficult for the time being, so maybe that's the reason. Harp going very deep, does get hooked immediately by Fujimoto, but not much more punishments coming out because this is the ding 2 that you talked about. Yeah, there is just so much punishment, and Yuhi and Fujimoto now ting over, but it's a bit late. They've already missed the opportunity that they had, and now the wave's about to get crashed in.
And this is the issue, because Flawless has pathed up to the top side. That's not a problem if you could keep this wave frozen in front of tower for Burning Core. If it gets the full bounce by hitting into the turret and then pushing back out, then it is going to be really rough, because you're going to have Steel down here just as you're having to overextend as the Burning Core bot lane. We'll have to see. This looks like a pretty coordinated play from DFM. Utapon has seen that he is being ganked, has the ghost, should be able to get out pretty handedly. What will they have to burn, though?
Well, he goes very far, has to flash away after, as the flash was traded by Rayfarki first, so it was response flash, so it's not an awful spot to be in if you are Utapon at this moment in time. God, trying to get used to calling Utapon a top laner is something I'm just going to have to...
It's disorientating.
It's like, ooh, Yuhi, Utapon, but they're not against each other. Harp, though, is going into it. Double knockup, but oh no, it doesn't land double, but so much damage is going on to Fujimoto. This Nautilus is not super tanky yet. He is one of the weaker tanks when it comes to the support meta, because... guess what? Nautilus relies on his W for that shield to really sustain him in a lot of trading spots.
I think they're going to flash this wall.
Yeah, he flashes over, immediately finds the hit onto Fujimoto, but it isn't actually able to knock him in. Yuhi defending his support with his body. But now, Yuhi, you can actually farm successfully, because guess what? Steel can't do a wraparound. Flawless is also there as well. So Fujimoto is able to come back to the wave. I love this. Soak up the experience as he recalls, so he's not going to be completely out of sync with his AD carry as well. So now this level advantage, this creep advantage at the side of Burning Core was actually down, and DFM didn't really amount to anything. But Dice is definitely getting some punish from this victor at this moment in time, and Yaharong is only going to make Dice's life go from bad to worse when he tings over to 6. But Dice has gone for the TP, so he hasn't got the ignite opportunity to try and really duel Yaharong when he hits 6. He's just going to have to try and keep farming his best as possible.
And I think they'll be fine to do so. The most important part for me on this mid lane is waiting to see when we get Fujimoto actually roaming to mid, because Flawless not exactly going to have the biggest gank set up. at the end of the day, Akali plus Graves, unless Yaharong is way, way out of position, you shouldn't be getting the kill there. It's the Nautilus, though. Once they come in with ultimate, that is really enough for you to get that solo bolo potential. Well, I say solo, it's 2v1, but you can pretend it's a solo. As now, we have both the junglers actually combining on this bottom side. Steel sprinting it down, knows that Flawless is there. Both of the junglers see each other, and I think this is just going to be a peaceful retreat from the pair of them.
I wonder when Fujimoto will have an opportunity to really rotate, because Harper's been dictating the pace a lot of this bot lane from the two supports in the moment, has been landing those knockups, giving Fujimoto a lot of punishment, in all fairness. So he's been struggling, and Dice has refused to go back, and every time he refuses to go back, more pressure gets put on to the mid laner, but a hook does land max lane into so much punishment from you. He does get the graviton, but guess what? Flawless got stopped by the Chompers, couldn't go any forward, struggled to get much more damage. That was really well played by Marimo, defending Harp from a lot of damage there, and could have been actually into a terrible situation. First Blood even going over to Burning Core, but it doesn't happen. As it stands, everybody just resets.
Oh, Dice actually cancelling the recall. I thought what they were going to do is get the reset in TP and just try and stop Yaharong getting the base. But actually, by staying in lane, you have an outer mana Victor. Their rotation to this dragon does basically nothing. Right now, it is just going to be the Burning Core bot lane that has the impact. So they should be theirs for free, but actually, they're deciding to kite it off. They don't want to risk it. I think this is potentially a bit overly defensive. They should have been able to take that one away and get themselves starting to snowball that objective, but no. Wanting to play it safe. Now they're going to get the TP in mid by Dice. Maybe a bit of a delayed one on there. Steel pathing over to the top side at this point should be free for Burning Core. Nothing too out of the ordinary. Just a bit of a delay on that previous attempt.
Yeah, and I think they are a little bit worried as well that Steel does have Hex Flash, so there is obviously the opportunity that Poppy just decides to go a little bit crazy mode and decides to Hex Flash over the wall to try and steal the dragon. Obviously, no one has... well, actually, another thing is Steel has now got that empowered smite, whereas Flawless doesn't, so there's another reason to not risk it for a biscuit if you don't know where Steel is perfectly, because his smite will outsmite you, so don't want to put yourself in that spot.
That's coming off of the first base options, actually. It was the Serrated Dirt by Flawless, and then those Lucidity shoes from Steel that is making the big impact. I love this pan from the camera right here. This is Utapon getting the crash of the minion wave and just trying to buy as much time stopping Rayfaki get to it. But what we do see, based on the build, is this is not the AP Gragas we had from Rayfaki the other day. They are going full tank, actually mimicking Nyon, the build that we had last game from Paz, and we saw how that went. Gragas, while they're less of an armor tank, definitely has that innate sustain on the passive. So I'm expecting a very similar end of the performance, with the Tryndamere being slightly up in CS, but not being able to do anything once Rayfaki gets an item or two.
No, Melvin is all. I'm going to tell you why it's not going to happen like that.
If you say plot armor for Utapon, then I'm not going to accept it.
Well, no. It's plot armor plus Black Cleaver. And I believe Utapon is a smart player when it comes to itemization.
So he's not hull breaking.
No, he's not going to do the hull breaker that we saw in that last match. I think he'll actually go for a Black Cleaver to be able to churn through all this armor. But it doesn't matter. Fujimoto, Hex Flash has been channeled. He's going to try and find the hook. A lot of damage already being done by Dice, but Flash over the wall. Dice goes in to try and match it. Huge amount of damage coming out from Flawless, and he actually finds it with the flash over, but there's a lot of punishment coming down from the Victor Ultimate. Dice, he's so low at the moment. Mega Death Rocket didn't find the kill, and as it stands, Burning Core do get that first blood as well. It's been 9 minutes, but we finally get our first kill.
But the thing is, for the gold, take a look at the bottom lane.
Harp going in, tries to find something, but Dice is able to get it, and yeah, Marimo...
They got one plate off of the back of that. And let's see how this play started off, because you definitely called it right. It was the Hex Flash that initiated it. And while it wasn't the level 6 Nautilus, this is what I was saying earlier. Very aggressive from Dice on this one. And, I didn't see Flawless actually went wide on the end there. Otherwise, it would have been potentially able to chase down, and that's why they have to flash over. At least they back up their mid lane, and no issue at the end of that. As now that Rift Herald picked up, immediately used bot lane for massive value for DFM.
Yeah, all of that money going on to Marimo and Steel. There's a lot of plates that have just gone down in this bot side. There's only one still standing, and Marimo is going to have to worry. Harp has got the eat, so doesn't have to worry too much. And I mean, he's a tanky Tahm Kench. Fujimoto, you're not going to do much even if you did do it. And important thing to note, Yuhi doesn't have his ult. So even if they wanted to keep punishing and following up, Flawless doesn't have the damage. Neither does Yuhi, whereas Steel had his ultimate, as does Marimo. So Burning Core need to respect the opportunity that DFM could have done something there. However, at this moment in time, Marimo had to reset. He's just got his Kraken Slayer, so definitely will win the damage 1v1 if Burning Core decide to opt into it, but I don't think that's going to be happening. And as it stands, Burning Core, that mid lane matchup, as you said, Dice is now actually kind of coming online. He's definitely punishing Yaharong a lot more and starting to feel himself. It feels like this matchup's getting a lot more exciting now in the mid lane.
And it's because with the Akali, you could do this with the Shroud where you get to walk very far forward. And the reason that Victor actually has the ability to trade heavily in the early game is off of the Q. With the Q auto combo, you can chunk out most mid laners every single time they go for a trade. Akali gets to dip into Shroud and control when they come into visibility. And because of that, it means that Victor can't really push the avenue that lets them win so many lanes. You need to be keeping them at arm's length and poking down with laser like we're seeing Yaharong do now. If you can manage to do that, the lane stays in Yaharong's favor. But as soon as Dice goes forward like this, they can fish for any trade they want, and there's really no counterplay beyond just going full burst into the fog.
Yeah, if I'm looking around the map, they've been clearing a lot of this vision out of the river of the side of Burning Core. And important thing for DFM is to try and find an opportunity or a win condition in this match, because currently Burning Core have been dictating a lot of how this has been going. Some neutral objectives have been traded. Obviously, that first Rift Herald did go over to the side of Detonation FocusMe. Megadeth Rocket goes very wide. Q from Harp goes wide. Won't be finding anything. There is an opportunity to wrap around, but there's a pink ward in that brush for the bot lane of Burning Core. So they'll know if Steel is going to try anything fancy or funky. So for the time being, everyone's just going to reset. Dragon has just spawned up. Dice is pretty low, but that teleport is coming back up, because remember, that was the similar kind of timing he was using. So DFM are going to be aware they'll have a small window where they can try and do something. Marimo is getting a lot of damage, and remember, you don't want to stay too long here if you are Burning Core, because if you let that tower go down and Marimo's sitting there hitting it, he'll get excited and you will lose that fight. That is just a cut and dry blank statement I will make, though blank isn't in this game, thankfully. DFM take this second dragon rather, and we'll find out what Rift. I'm not sure which Rift Burning Core would want the most, or if DFM would want the most. That's an interesting.
Well, as a Poppy, you're very happy to see Mountain Rift, extra walls to charge into.
Huge amount of damage, though. Immediately collapsed on, eating up from Harp, spitting him and back out. Steel finds the knock up there and gets Fujimoto out of this matchup. Ult goes wide from Yuhi there, and health bars on the side of DFM are lower than Burning Core, so the DFM have to respect that. Burning Core are going to find them, and I mean, a lot of that was just because so much CC chain happened onto Marimo.
I'm going to have to stop you, Lexi, because I've just seen a Sin, and it is in the top lane. Hullbreaker from Utapon. You said he was the chosen one, and they have betrayed me.
I mean, I hope. Harp, though, going in, finds the knock-up onto Yuki. A lot of damage already. That passive, though, from Tahm Kench hasn't been stacked up. Fujimoto now taking a huge amount of damage. And Marimo, they're trying to find it. You just got to get one more. It's excited now. Marimo pushing forward. Harp doesn't get the knock-up, and Flawless is here dissuading the further push. But Yuki just takes a huge amount of damage out of nowhere. This is what DFM's comp can do. And this is DFM doing what they've been doing fantastically for years in the LJL, playing with edges, and they know how to push it, even with new members in there. Hex Flash is being channeled from Steel, but he decides, I don't really actually want to go at that. That's a bit risky.
I like this, though. They could cancel the bases, and you have got Aphelios with Crescendum right now. If you leave them alone in front of this tower, they will kill it before your bases come out. So this is actually forcing DFM to stick around, and teleports are unleashed now. There is the potential for actually just Dice or
Seal's coming around. Harp goes in. Yuhi is being pushed back, does get stunned, and that's fantastic. Marimo's excited, tries to find the zap there. Flawless, very fancy footsteps in all fairness, and is able to actually make out. Really well played with the dash and the flash there, but did have to blow both of those to actually escape.
Man, that was looking really clever from Burning Core, and this is something I've seen from this team time and time again. You show the right intent, they had the right plan there. If we keep them from basing, then we could just wait, let Fujimoto get a play done elsewhere, rotate multiple members into the bot lane, and get that first tower. But
Dice, though, is going to find Utapon here.
It's a trend to me. He's skedaddling.
Yeah, please continue, mate.
Well, there's not too much left at the end of that because it's just Burning Core showing the right plan and then failing the test when they get to it. And that is the real issue that keeps this team from being one of the top of the table. They were up there for time and they are currently hovering in the middle. I feel like if they can really, I don't know, what's the right phrasing for this one? If they can just shore up those cracks, then they can actually get their way to the very top and start contesting. Until then, though, it's going to be a lot of stumbling at the final mark and requiring mechanical execution. They still get the first Blood Tower bot lane, mind you, and it will be a lot of money going over to Yuhi, but DFM, they've matched in the mid lane, and while it won't die, between this Rift Herald, it should do, and mid lane tower is way more important, even if it's not the first Blood Gold.
Double Rift Heralds will be going over to the side of Detonation FocusMe, and this is the angle that they like to play through. They love the opportunity of just putting gold and actually funneling towers down so they can get map control throughout it. That bot tower is just a blow away from falling down. As let's have a quick check-in on the gold as it stands. Yuhi and Marimo are rather similar at this moment in time.
Look at Utapon, though.
Yeah, that's where I wanted to lead our eyes because this is not how it went in our last matchup for the tank versus the Tryndamere matchup. It's a bit different, obviously. Gragas isn't quite the same, doesn't have the same passive, to put it lightly, that Malphites do have. This is good, but you already brought up the sin that Utapon has made with that hull breaker. He's
committed.
Yeah, he's fully committed to this option. Do you think it's actually going to be successful, though?
I think that it means that now DFM have decided how they're going to play. They are going to dedicate Yaharong to clearing a side lane, having Utapon be a dominant force, trying to push down towers with that enhanced siege minion. As now, we're going to get a set play from DFM. They're going to push out this mid wave, get the Rift Herald in, and use it to set up vision for the dragon, which is spawning in 30. I like this a lot.
Flawless already getting taken so low, and the Poppy stun into the wall doesn't matter. Fujimoto tries to get a hook, tries to get anything. Passive was put down, but guess what? It doesn't matter. Second hit's going to be coming out, and guess what? Marimo's still excited, so he'll just keep pushing with the rest of his team. That's 2 turrets in the mid lane, and
brutal.
What just happened, Burning Core? Everything was looking so good before it didn't. Dragon has just spawned, and Burning Core, it's starting to fall apart, team. This isn't good, team. Dice is very deep into the side of DFM's jungle, but I think he's just going to have to recall and try and get out, frankly.
They've cancelled once or twice, so I think what they were hoping for is Yaharong to come waddling through the river on their own. As now they're going to look for any stragglers, but we will get to check out the replay first and foremost. And it was Steel. That is an illegal stun. I did not think that actually connected at the time, but this is just great committal from the team. And we see Harp preemptively getting around the corner. They leap over the side. And there's not too much that happens after that, but it is the map cracked open. And you can see this is actually one of the worst game states to be in for Burning Core. You've basically been checked, and it is all but knocking over the last piece, because you can see both of the side lane towers are still up, but with the mid lane, tier 1 and 2 down, you can just send Harp and Steel to whichever side lane you want, and you know your laners as Burning Core have to overextend, because that's where the minion waves are going to be. If you want to get income, you have to be walking very far forward, but it means you're hyper susceptible to dives from Utapon, dives from Steel, as that nearly showing perfect time in what I was describing there, getting out on a half second. Baron is up in 24. Utapon, if they are left alone here, will quite handily kill the first tower and start threatening onto the second, which is an insane gold influx for this already rich Tryndamere.
I mean, it was almost already blown over by Marimo. That 4 plates from going on to Marimo and Steel, mostly the benefactors of that. So huge amounts already gold funneled into this AD carry. And now Udipon's just going to be the benefactor and just blow it over. That's the third tower now for DetonatioN FocusMe. And you can see that they were planning this all along because the amount of vision that they have put into the top side of Burning Core's base. Now they're just pushing through. They've rotated around. Yaharong's already at the tower. Steel is pushing through. Harp all trying to find it. Teleport has been channeled in. I believe that's going to be Ray Farkey coming in very deep. A huge Poppy ultimate pushing through. Aphelios does land on multiple people, but it's not going to be able to find anything. Udipon is on the back line here, but he's going to try and find it. Marimo is in the back line. Dice goes forward, but guess what? You weren't able to find it there. Dice does find it now, but it was after a while. Get excited. Doesn't matter. DFM with a huge 4 for 2 there. And it means just this Baron's going to be taken down because DFM don't have a chill button.
I'm going to say that Utapon is a man of many talents. I won't critique his build anymore because that was an astounding play. I want you to watch him in this fight because they know that Harp is going to go for it. They've already called the fight, and you can see when Utapon actually uses the Ghost to get in, and he completely splits apart this fight. Yuhi and Flawless will not get to play the game. He's already ghosted in, and watch. Yeah, we know what happens with DFM on the other side, and they think for Burning Core that this is a clean 4v4, but Yuta already in, getting the kill with the Gale Force, and I am astounded he managed to get this kill onto Yuhi at the very end and live, most importantly. Funnily enough, DFM are favored in a 4 versus 2 because Yuta was just juggling 3 Burning Core members handedly.
Utapon finding Flawless here. It's almost like he knew he was there. He rotated into it, spin to win.
15!
Yeah, you can't do much about this, and that's the terrifying part. I love that you just screamed that because, how can anyone on Burning Core at this point? It probably was, actually. In all fairness, it probably was. And if you look at the build as well, and I want to just kind of use this to highlight, because of what Utapon does, look at what Steel's gone build-wise. This is a terrifying Poppy to watch just running at you at Mark 3, not Mark 5, because, I mean, Phase Rush. You can't do everything at Mark 5. But this is going to be so hard with this force of nature now coming out. Like, the damage profiles from Burning Core don't exist now to DFM. Like
I think it's even worse. Look at the respectful itemization from Marimo here. They know the only way they die is just Dice getting on top of them because Flawless's burst has been staggered. They started off with going for that first item to clear out all the wards, and then they went into the Eclipse. Because they weren't able to snowball the game off of the vision control, though, they are not necessarily behind in itemization, but not as ahead as you need to be on a damage carry like this.
Finds Dice, though, with that spin. Dice immediately going into the Shroud, but I don't think you want that, mate, as Udapon is always trying to hang around the minions to just heal up and... Oh, man, it feels like it goes from bad to worse for this Burning Core side, because even if they try and find a bit of reprieve, they don't get it.
That tower dies on this minion wave if Dice does not hyper commit to something here, as they're dying on the side.
Still finds the knock up onto Yuhi. So much damage. Oh my god, the ult also gets thrown out there. And this is a 3v3 where it was realistically only one of them. Marimo gets excited. That's the first one down. Flawless was in the middle of everybody, but he couldn't do anything. Now Marimo finds another one, and they're pushing forward. Eat you up, Ray Farkey. You are not getting out into the stun, into more. 3, 4, nothing for the side of DetonatioN FocusMe. This is going to be the Baron, and I mean, honestly speaking, Mountain Rift is up. I imagine Udipon's going to take that on his own, and Burning Core, it's gone from bad to worse, and it feels like that kill, or rather that action in the mid lane was alluding to Burning Core's whole future now.
DFM are really good at League of Legends is the main takeaway from that one. I'm sorry to say for the Burning Core fans, but even with the substitution, Utapon has now actually had some time to get warmed up. They are a Tryndamere connoisseur, and we're seeing it pay dividends in the side lane, in the team fights. They are having a big impact, and it is too much for Burning Core to handle. Honestly, I would say that Utapon is looking beyond confident right now. They are playing out this game extremely well. And to take the attention away from them, but Steel is on their signature Poppy, so we always get engages like this, which just means that as Yuhi, you don't get to play the game. Fujimoto doesn't offer that defensive property that a Tahm Kench does. He gets 2 stuns throughout this, does Steel, and then Utapon comes in for the flank, beautifully ends out the fight. Oh, it's going again.
It's happening again, but I mean, all that damage has been put onto Steel, and this is the Dragon Soul that they wanted for. They haven't got the soul yet, but guess what? They're going to keep fighting. Unipon is just going to be the front line, and there's so much damage getting channeled into it. But guess what? That ultimate's been channeled in. Dice tries to find him. Unipon, that ultimate has gone down, but Ray Farkey died on the side somehow. I don't know how that happened. Auto attack comes in. Dice is going to survive for the time being. Marimo did trade with Yuhi, so a lot of damage is happening, though Steel finds Dice, so at the moment it's a 4, it's an ace. It's all gone. It was all over the map. It doesn't matter. What is happening? Gah!
It is the inevitable of DFM. They are upset that they not only dropped one game, but they were forced to drop another. They're saying that that was an asterisk game. Yeah, we had our substitution, but guess what? We're going to prove that we can beat the rest of the league, even with that asterisk, which is a terrifying prospect when you consider that this is nowhere close to a full-powered DFM.
Yaharong is going to get found. That's going to be the Banshee's Veil popped, though a lot of damage is coming through. But guess what? With the gravity field, it's going to be very difficult for the side of Burning Core. And guess what? They don't actually want that. He actually gets the 2v1. Ray Falky has to rotate around. 1,000 gold going onto Ray Falky. I mean, I guess that's okay, but like...
Well, hey, Gragas has money, not going to save the game, oddly enough. We've seen it. So far, Ray Farkey has not been the front line for the team, and he has not been the savior that Paz was last game. Not able to deny this Tryndamere at all avenues in the side lane. They'll be able to afford the Thimblewind off of that. Fabulous. Will it do anything? Probably not.
I mean, yeah, more tanky versus Tryndamere, but Udapon doesn't really care if Ray Farkey matches him, because Udapon can play the waves far more, and it's far more on Ray Farkey to respect Utapon more than anything else. Though Dice, in the middle of multiple members, gets knocked back. So much damage is happening. Harp tries to find the knockup. Marimo is going to try and come and see the rest of the team, but Steel, with this red buff, makes Dice's life pretty difficult. Mega Death Rocket, and Dice has to run away like anything else. But now with the Baron buff, the side of DFM are going to start pushing here, and Udapon is around the side. He's hovering. He's pushing in this mid lane. Gonna be able to rotate. Marimo helps that. He gets excited. He's gonna have that pass for a few more seconds. It's locked off now, but now the rest of Detonation FocusMe are gonna push. Dice has just come out from the base, but guess what? Udapon this whole time has been pushing this. Yaharong has channeled the TP in. He is gonna get seen, but guess what? Burning Core, what can you really do about it? As we're in a split lane, Udapon is requiring so much damage, so much pressure. Flawless is just dead in a 2v1 scenario, and Udapon looks like he wants more. He wants blood. Dice is going to go forward as we get a pause here. I don't know what's going on. I feel like we're going to have to wait for something. Harp has channeled that Tom Kench knock up.
Oh, I know what this is. It's like the "do you ever wonder how I got here" kind of picture. Because what's going to happen is there's going to be an interrupt on the dash. I don't know why on earth we're getting a pause right now. I'm assuming there might have been a bug in game or
Flawless
something.
wasn't happy about that death.
No, that was it. Flawless complaining, too much damage on Tryndamere. How did he get 6 levels up on me? I think there must be some kind of worry. Can we please fix that?
I think
Jaeger
really
and Recruit heading into the next one.
I think the official streamcast of Jaeger and Recruit were on the same wavelength as I saw them chuckling in similar ways to us. So I think this game's pretty much DFM's to just take now at this moment in time. Burning Core calling for a pause, maybe. We don't know. Outside of that, where could the other game pause be coming in? As soon as we know, we will tell you, ladies and gentlemen. If Lonely Hikamori or Umi is around to give us what the live stream is talking about, that would be greatly appreciated. Or if anyone in our Twitch chat can tell us, we'll take that. I'll gladly take that. Mervin Izzle, how do you feel about this game so far?
Well, I just saw, opening the Twitch chat to be prepared, who won the DFM game? Guys, I think it's going to be DFM. Don't know about you, but I feel like it's going to be DFM. That's not a fact, but if I had to put money on it, I would actually put money on it. I don't normally like betting on League of Legends games, but that is definitely one that I feel like we could all say probably DFM favored. They might just be taking that.
I mean, if your arm's going to be twisted at any point in time, I feel like this is the one to be twisted on at this moment in time, as it's pretty much over. DFM are knocking on the front door. Utapon had just got in a kill on the 2v1 with Flawless, and it was Dice going for that, or decided to go for that. Utapon was split pushing. They got the top turret. It feels like this is just DFM kind of going through the motions.
It's a clean game. It's a clean game. They won in a very, well, they are winning, better said, in a very competent manner. They are performing in a safe way to end the game, with Utapon just being some kind of unchained dog that whenever people get close to them, he's just going to run them down without remorse. And in fairness, Flawless did pick that fight in the mid lane. He went in to try and clear the wave and then just went into Utapon's dash range, which is not something you're allowed to do. I would say as Graves, but as anyone at this point. So I feel like let's not necessarily talk about this game like it's over, but let's talk about what, assuming DFM wins, this would mean for the standings and mean for these teams. Not to get the post game done before it's actually over, but I feel like that's the most valuable thing we can talk about. There's not going to be too much to set up jumping back into it.
I agree. I mean, I think as it stands, what this will mean more so for DetonatioN FocusMe, it means that we shouldn't have doubted them, really, more than anything else, Callum. I'll be completely frank. DFM look really good, and if Burning Core can't challenge them, that pretty much means, just to me, only Rascal Jester can challenge DFM.
Yeah. Like, it's not something that we can really put up in the air. They've already beaten Sengoku, so if you look down the standings, realistically, this should have been the one game they could lose.
Yeah.
And now, if you think about it almost like transitive properties,
yes,
if they can't lose to Burning Core with a sub, that means Rascal Jester is the only team that can beat them with a sub. So this should be DFM going on to finish 19-2 by the end of the split. Pretty day.
It's a spot that honestly, probably every other team outside of Rascal Jester were probably watching and really hoping that the playbook would be repeated to some aspect, or a new playbook would be shown. And that they'd be like, okay, every other team, like Crest Gaming Act, for instance, even the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks and Axis would be looking at this match going, okay, if I see how this happens, maybe I can sneak a win versus DFM. Because that's what you're going to have to do. Let's be real, if you're these lower teams, you're going to try and have to sneak it, get it when Ebby's not in the roster for the time being. But the fact that it's like this, and the fact that it felt like Utapon has now reached the level of comfort versus Ray Farkey, may I add, is not look ideal.
Good. So I feel like this is also a mixed game looking at for Rascal Jester, because on the one hand, you want DFM to lose, because that way you have the chance for contesting for the first spot. You'd need them to lose twice and then to win all your games. If they aren't losing here, DFM's probably going to be locking in that first spot handedly in the remaining 4 games. But simultaneously, Rascal Jester are not necessarily effectively locking second here, but they are going to say that now only Sengoku can compete, because Burning Core would need to win everything and Rascal Jester would need to lose everything. So we're getting the top of our standings pretty much hashed out clean today of DFM, Rascal Jester, Sengoku, as we expected, unless we get some big upsets coming into next week. That's really how it's looking to play.
No more tiebreaker matches. Hopefully be clean and cut maybe a day or two before we actually finish. We'll have to wait and see. But it definitely feels like this triple round robin is helping flesh out the placement of a lot of these teams. And we're getting actually a far more accurate representation of where these teams will properly end up going in to playoffs, which is something we really wanted to see, because in previous months or splits of the LJL with the double round robin, it's kind of felt like certain teams were more powered up than where their standings actually had them sitting. So it's going to be nice to see where everyone's going to end up. Burning Core, I think, are probably going to be that 4th place team, best of everybody else. Crest Gaming Act probably be 5th. With Axis and the Hawks fighting out, with that bottom...
It's not to jump to conclusions. We still got the rest of the day. If Crest look really bad later on, then there is always the option that bottom of the standings might get a bit wacky. Maybe we do see them dropping out.
I don't want Middle Cop feeling sad about the LJL as a whole. So I want CGA to make playoffs. If they don't, though... I mean, I'm going to be very happy because I love Axis and I love the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks. So, I mean, I'm kind of biased a bit.
Here's my question, though.
Okay.
We have got a 21-game regular season.
We do.
You can't divide that number by 2.
Nope.
Which end of the coin is Crest going to be heading? Are they going for the 11 and 10 or the 10 and 11?
10 and 11.
Yeah, you think that they're definitely...
It's tails,
straight the schedule now. Let's see what they've actually got to come. because we've got a next game versus Rascal Jester, so we're going to say that they're probably going 8 and 9 coming into the rest of the week.
Yep.
And then after that, we've got CGA versus Hawks, V3, DFM, Axis. Yeah, no, I think I'm going with you there. I'm definitely with you there.
You know what? If they wait, when do they play V3? Where in the
V3
order is that?
is there. Checks notes. Third game from today, if you include today as the first one.
Okay, and they go again.
So it's Rascal Jester today.
Yeah.
Hawks on Sunday, and then the following week it's V3, DFM, and then Axis.
I think if they lose today and the matchup versus the Hawks, mental games might be a bit in the toilet.
And then last game's against Axis. There is a real world where if Axis can find some degree of success for the rest of the weeks, unlikely. I've just quickly glanced their strength of schedule. Actually, I take it back. Very unlikely. They got Burning Core, DFM, Rascal Jester before they play CGA. So I think CGA, they can be confident they're in playoffs at this point.
Probably, but I mean, never say never. And with Axis playing with what they do currently, I mean, there's always an opportunity. And also, importantly, I think V3, if CGA is kind of flipping tails or maybe flipping heads versus the teams they really need to kind of flip the tails on, V3 could beat CGA. And it's one of the few teams that everyone in general goes, yeah, CGA sometimes just do something bad. I mean, for V3, it would be fantastic. And for CGA,
First win of the split versus CGA.
I mean, if it's going to happen, that's the team I want it to happen to, because, I mean, it couldn't be more perfect. It couldn't be more perfect.
No, that's true. Yeah, the one way that V3 manages to win is by getting the very unfair coin in their favor.
Yeah, I mean, they couldn't beat Hawks or Axis. They were the teams that I would expect them to beat. They've not done it in the first two games. I expect Hawks at the end of today to beat V3. Given my predictions earlier, I know, crazy, but I mean, we're already kind of 2 games done as it stands. We're not doing the post game, ladies and gentlemen. If you're wondering what happened to the DFM Burning Core game, we're in a game pause. DFM are knocking on their door, but we're not doing the post game for that because we might be doing it in 3 minutes from now or 15
Honestly,
minutes.
I'm expecting the game to have just ended in the background and the casters for both us and the LJL mainstream to just be confused, because as soon as it hops back in, based on the circumstances we left off in, unless there's a chrono break at a further away point, I highly doubt that the game will be anything more than just a couple autos onto the Nexus and go break.
Well, I mean, with Flawless being down, with Dice looking like he might fall 15 to 17, I believe was the difference as well for Utapon versus Dice on the Tryndamere versus Akali. So it doesn't even have 16 ult, whereas Utapon does. So his ult lasts for about, how long does level 3 ult Tryndamere last? Forever, it feels like. It's like 4 seconds.
I think it's 5. I'm pretty sure it's still 5. But I know what this is. The situation we found ourselves in. This is like, you're at school and you're about to have lunch break and somebody pulls a fire alarm. That's what's happened right here. We were all getting ready. We had packed our bags
I got
up.
my backpack on.
Yeah, exactly. I'm ready. I know exactly where I'm going to go sit in a fire escape with all the cool kids, you know, do that kind of thing that you do in school. And then somebody pulls a fire alarm. We're all lined up waiting for DFM to come back in and say, don't worry, guys. The fire is out. Burning Core is no more.
But we've not got that. The head teacher's currently standing there. You're all in lines on the school playground. You gotta wait.
Can we go back in and watch game 3 now, please?
and Mr. Utapon's like, no, I'm the sports teacher. I can't tell you what you can and can't do. I don't actually have a class. I'm just in charge of all of you. I'm just a substitute
teacher for this game.
Literally.
He's a sub-teacher for the top lane this time.
He's like, I don't really know how this system works, lads.
Mr. Ray Farkey was in detention right now, and they decided out of protest they would pull the fire alarm. Burning Core, they kept going, and we decided that we would make sure to make an example out of them. We've took them outside and we presented to everybody, this is what happens when you disrespect DFM University.
And you've got the year 7s as well, or the first years, if we'll go with the university analogy. You've got the first year, the freshman, and you've got Marimo teaching his first class, and he's kind of like, everybody, this is how it works. And then fire alarm, and he's like, I just got excited because I killed that tower in topside. I thought Thought we were done. Thought it was over. I'm sorry, team.
It was
Oh.
nearly the cleanest first day, but no.
No. First
There
game
is a
did not
chrono
go
break
great.
happening.
Is it
Okay.
Oh,
That is what we have just seen from Hina.
I'm
There
sorry.
is actually
what?
going to be a chrono break. Woohoo. I don't know what for. I don't know what it's going to change, but it looks like maybe the accidental fire alarm wasn't an accident. There might be a deeper conspiracy happening here.
I don't know what Utapon did wrong there. I'm actually flabbergasted.
Too many times, I guess.
Can we?
I don't know.
We. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, we have the official stream. Jaeger and Recruit. We've been watching them this whole time. If we get any form of replay, we will put that on because everything looked like it went as intended. Personally, when I watched it as I casted
All part
it,
of the master plan.
what, for Burning Core to get a chrono break so this game goes on for longer to try and stop the momentum of DFM so they can maybe try and
break the mental. Break the mental.
This is the team though that has almost always gone to Worlds, made it all the way through.
Work, but it's the plan.
Yeah.
It's a plans can fail, right? Just because you say it's all part of the plan, it doesn't mean that that means the plan will succeed at the end of the day. It's all part of the plan just means that, yeah, I wanted that to happen. Maybe I wanted the wrong thing to happen. Maybe I thought, oh, I might be able to face check into Utapon. Probably not. Definitely not. Absolutely not. And now, if we do get the full chrono break, we'll get to see it happen again. Maybe in slow motion this time.
Yeah, we're getting some more information. Apparently there's a chrono, but we're not quite sure what it's for in all actuality. And apparently memes are happening in the Twitterverse, so I mean, that always feels great, but
fabulous.
doesn't help us in this exact spot. So, Malvinizzle, how's your D&D campaign been going recently? Have you been able to play any D&D recently? It's time for this now. It's time for this now.
Okay, you know what, that now. Okay, hold on, let me lean my chair back. All right, so I come here for the soft podcast. Yeah. Now, currently, I'm not going to say any campaign-specific spoilers because, you know, I'm trying to be considerate for the audience, but I'm very happy with how the campaigns go. We only just recently started, and our party
Are you playing a pre-done campaign?
Yes, I like to take the pre-done ones and then rip them apart and put my own stuff in place. So they're really good for the settings, for my money, and, well, for the book's money, actually. However, funnily enough, due to the current global circumstances, playing online.
Of course, yeah.
Now, irritatingly, you have to set up maps and things like that for people to play D&D.
So
people
what
that don't know the
platform
specifics,
do you do online?
have
Which
tokens. I use Roll20 is my platform that I use. And the way that that works is everybody has their own client and you could just see the screen. It's kind of like you got the table in front of you. But when you have a table in front of you, I could just take a pen and paper and draw a map down. With this, you have to, like you're trying to design a game, make all the lines completely elaborate, make sure there's no gaps, because otherwise what players can see is just everything behind the curtain. It'd be like if you walked into the main room in The Wizard of Oz and there's just no curtain there in the first place. So it's like, yeah, so there's all the monsters. You're not meant to see them yet, but pretend you didn't, I guess. That's all I can really ask from you. And trying to make sure that that works is just such a nuisance.
See, I have a very fortunate play group, which is very nice to me, and they basically, so we're going through, so I just went through, and we're currently doing the Essentials kit.
Oh, so, that is a banger.
So we're going through this. We've already had one player death, and we almost had another player death. Well, no, actually we did, but I decided for that player to give them a conversation with death. So they could maybe repent for their sins and come back.
Did they manage to repent successfully?
Well, they weren't meant to die in gnome regard. So, I mean, Death was feeling very charitable for once.
Yeah. New player or just unlucky dice roll player?
Unlucky dice roll, also the fanning part. You know where the fans are in gnome regard. Very early on. They just didn't go and ask the gnomes to flick the switch for them. So my players don't really know that you can ask NPCs to help them with stuff and to do stuff for them.
No, that's fair. It's a different kind of way of playing the game that people just aren't used to. Like, especially when people have grown up on RPGs or that kind of thing. It's like, well, I don't see the option. So what do you mean I can just ask them? And I've actually got one of my favorite anecdotes for D&D. Okay, so new group of players. This was about 3 years ago. IRL, standing around a table, got the drawing board out. So this is my favorite D&D anecdote, and it's because we are sat down. They go to this new city, and this person's playing a bard. Anybody that's played D&D knows all the bard stereotypes.
Yep.
Hilariously outrageous in every way, shape, and form. This person does something outrageous, gets arrested immediately.
Of course, every bard must get arrested in a campaign. It's part of how it goes.
And to put the context, they're underground. They're trying to escape prison, and they've just found this civilization as the first place they've gone to where there's people that don't hate them immediately. So they're like, okay, cool. And you've annoyed everybody instantly. Great. So the rest of the party's like, fine, you can get arrested. We'll come figure it out tomorrow. We're going to just have a nice bit of peace and quiet. Oh my God, we get the game? Is this the replay, or are we in game?
We are back into game. It looks like we're coming in just before the map
Flawless is dead.
Open. Flawless is dead. So it feels like they went for a chrono and then they decided against it. I mean, a huge engage coming from the side, though, but it's all onto Harp, so it doesn't really amount to much. Udapon does stay alive for all this time, and even with Yuhi ulting, it doesn't matter. Yuhi taken so low from Yaharong's Q just then and there. It looked like they kind of decided, wait, is top tower there, but the inhibitor's gone? I think this is a big bug that's happened with the chrono break.
Bug.
Yeah. As it stands, though, inhibitor gone in mid lane. Please continue telling me about your D&D campaign, though. Yeah.
The bard gets arrested, and they're put in this cell, and I tell them that the room you're in currently, I don't draw a map, I just explain it, and this is the explanation they get. So you look around, you're currently in a cell. You can see that it is a stone prison. You've got a window outside your cell, currently over where the officer would presumably sitting. There's a locked door. You see the officer leave. They bust out of their cell using some funky magic, and then their genius maneuver is they climb up to the desk and they lean out the window. And as they're leaning out the window, they think, okay, I can make a distraction and then run. So they climb back in, start grabbing stuff, and then they throw out the window a rock to try and make a distraction, and then run over to try and unlock the door, as opposed to just doing it the other way around. And I'm just looking at them like, so you've actively chosen to use up more resources to unlock the door and make a fuss out the window when you could have just climbed out the window when there was nobody standing there. And I just couldn't imagine that level of absurdity of somebody in prison. They break out of their cell, they lean out of this window, then they climb back in and unlock the door instead.
I mean, only in D&D. Only in D&D would that kind of event occur, and I love the absurdity there. I was just I was listening to every all the words that you were saying, and I was like, if anyone goes for a team fight here, like throwing the rock, I was like, oh well, throwing a rock, we haven't got Talia. I was like trying to listen to every micro thing you were saying there to bring it in, but nothing happened in the game of League of Legends.
They did.
Me. They wanted
the
story time
to be done.
They wanted story time, and the bug that we're seeing on the mini-map is actually because the inhibitor is gone in top. We haven't actually seen the top inhibitor go down, so that's why I didn't want to say it. The turret's gone. That's not there. The minions are currently running in, as you can see on the mini-map, with the very large, small little blue dots going in. Yaharong is just going to poke out. Flawless is 13. Steel is 15. Udapon is 18. Rayfarki and Dice has just teamed over to 16, so that's good. That puts you in a good spot, but yeah, that's what the turret looks like.
No jungler here even. Flawless is way out of the way, and it will be the Baron over to DFM with the Mountain Soul in tow. You have to imagine they're just going to walk it in at this point.
Oh, I mean, if they don't, there's a disappointment, I would think would be. And honestly, I'd be questioning DFM as a team more than anything, but I think we're just going to get a J-Ram here more than anything else, Melvin.
I'm going to make sure that we all see the stopwatches currently available. There are 3 up for DFM, top, mid, and support, and then on the other side, it is only the Zhonyas onto Dice on that Akali. These are your main playmakers you need to keep an eye out because they will get used in this engagement one way or the other.
All right, that first wave is coming in from DFM. They're making sure that they can get everything. Rayfarki going forward. Huge casket does throw a lot of them. Marimo goes very far back, but the rest of them were all the tanks, so it doesn't really matter. Veliosol does land on Marimo again, so that's a great one, but this whole time Flawless has been taken so low. Yaharong is now coming around. That's the Q onto Fujimoto, and he has gone down. Rayfarki then gets taken down. He gets taken down, and Udapon has 0 chill button. Ultimate has been proc there. He was waiting for it. Yaharong looking at the rest of them, and Detonation FocusMe. Why would we ever doubt them? Dice tries to find something, but I mean, it's not going to be it for it. Oh, spin to win. Udapon does perish, but I mean, Harp is now going to do it. They get the win. They get the W, and DFM look on form once again.
Even with a sub, they managed to get it done. Yes, there were some, let's say, hiccups, maybe, but they got there, and it wasn't even close for the actual gameplay portion of it.